Well, let me first say the president is hale and hearty. I spoke to him and we had a fairly long conversation. He was, of course, interested in knowing about the process, the budget process, and how far we had gone. And as you know, we had a meeting today with the private sector on the economic recovery and growth plan. And he was also interested in knowing what was happening with that, with the economic recovery and growth plan, and what we were doing with the private sector. You know, and of course informed him about some of what we have seen, the protest marches and all of that, and you know, some of what the feedback of what people are saying about the economy and all of that. So he's in good shape. We were very chatty and we had a conversation.
Your Excellency, why is it so difficult for us to tell Nigerians specifically what is wrong with Mr. President, the health status?
Well, I think that the health status of Mr. President is a fact or an issue that only Mr. President himself will be able to discuss at the appropriate time. Again, he's running tests. There are tests and all of that. Before you determine your health status, you must be able to say, this is my health status. I mean, if I'm running tests, if I'm running tests, doing some routine, doing some that have been referred, that have been, I've asked, my doctors have asked me to do, then surely I must await the outcome of that before I talk about any kind of status.
Are you under pressure to resign, Mr.
I'm absolutely under no pressure to resign. In any event, I was voted for by the people of this nation, myself and Mr. President. And the people of this nation have not asked us to resign. So I have absolutely no pressure whatsoever. And the truth is that there has been absolutely no pressure whatsoever from any source asking me to resign. And that's the honest truth.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Also, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has responded to some Nigerians who are protesting the economic situation of the country. He gave the response at a consultative forum between the economic management team and the private sector on the economic recovery growth plan.
But I'd like to say to every Nigerian that we hear you loud and clear. The government is one that is determined to give the ordinary man a fair deal. You have the right to live well and decently, and we are committed to making that happen. But years of deterioration and corruption cannot be remedied overnight. But again, I must emphasize that it is our business and our duty to ensure that we put the Nigerian economy on a path of sustained growth, and that is exactly what we are determined to do. We have in the past 18 months intervened 3 times to give the states enough resources to pay salaries of workers. The last intervention was in December when we paid the Paris Club refunds to the states. This is money that the federal government has owed the states since 2005. And even when oil was selling at $115 a barrel, these debts were not paid. The president insisted, when he was going to pay that money to the states, that at least 50% of it must be to pay salaries of workers. We intend to ensure, of course, that that is what is done. Many of the states were able to pay salaries and backlog of pensions in December because of that particular fund that was made available to the states. It's always been the concern of the president and the government to ensure that as much as possible, the most vulnerable in our societies, those who earn salaries, those who have no work, the market women, the man on the street, take as little of this pain as is possible.
Osinbajo also noted that the journey out of the damage caused by years of neglect and corruption is bound to be difficult, but that there is a glorious light at the end of the tunnel. The European Union Parliament has selected Nigeria as one of only 7 countries in the world to collaborate with its effort to enhance democracy and good governance. This came to the fore when the Speaker, House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, received the Democracy Support and Election Coordinating Group in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adegunloye reports.
The delegation, led by Santiago Fisas, who was an observer during Nigeria's 2015 general elections, noted that the EU Parliament can work closely with the National Assembly to promote issues critical to national and democratic governance both in Nigeria and the African continent.
For instance, human rights and parliament, gender equality and the role of parliament, role of political parties, role of parliament in conflict prevention and mediation, in relationship with civil society and citizens.
Speaker Yakubu Dogara concurred with Mr. Fisas' submission, saying that democracy can always be deepened and collaborations with other nations to achieving this can only be a positive step.
It is in this line that we have even set up parliamentary friendship groups in the House of Representatives specifically. We have those groups that will relate with different parliaments of different countries, and they've kick-started work in earnest. We hope to build on that to be able to garner the best practices in other regions so that we can improve on our own practices.
The clerk to the National Assembly, Sani Omolori, spoke in a similar vein when he also received the delegation, while the National Institute for Legislative Studies is also expected to play a key role in these efforts. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
Still on legislative matters, Minister of Power, Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola has appeared before the Joint Committee on Power of the National Assembly to explain sudden change in leadership of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayanu reports that the minister's appearance followed what the security described as disturbing information regarding the TCN.
Last week, the Joint Committee on Power of the National Assembly, on its oversight, received correspondences and information regarding sudden change in leadership of the Transmission Company of Nigeria and its attendant crisis. It is in this regard that the minister was invited to explain what led to such changes.
At the moment, TCN does not have a managing director. The person on whose behalf on whose behalf a petition has agitated this house is not a managing director.
The National Assembly, represented here by the Joint Committee on Power, is not interested in dictating to you how you run your ministry and the parastatals that are therein.
In the meantime, a one-day public hearing on Constituencies Development Catalyst Fund Bill has been organized by the Senate Committee on Poverty Alleviation and Social Welfare. Chairman of the committee, Senator Ali Wakili, said the bill aims at correcting all prejudices as well as redistributing national wealth to all parts of the country.
We are not quite unaware of the great negativism, stereotypes, perception rigidity, and bad public image of successive assemblies, including the 8th Assembly, since when the constituency intervention projects were introduced.
Most Nigerians don't even know that the constituency project is a legal thing as enshrined in our constitution.
As the years go by, the controversies surrounding the constituency projects also grew. So this bill is set to address those controversies that have continued to grow rather than go away.
Meanwhile, Chairman Senate Committee on Water Resources, Senator Muhammadu Ubali Shitu, has noted that myriads of complaints and rumors that usually characterize budgets in Nigeria are usually born out of ignorance or gross political mischief. He stated this at the 2017 budget defense by the Ministry of Water Resources and its agencies.
By 31st of next month, yes, sir, the account will close. And we are already, you are still at 34%. What I'm asking, now if the account is closed by 31st of March, what will happen to this ongoing projects?
Ministries, departments and agencies will in the next 2 weeks continue to defend their sectoral allocations with a view to facilitating the National Assembly's passage of the 2017 budget. From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
The Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative is fine-tuning modalities for an effective collaboration with Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria in the interest of the region. Joseph Orok reports that already an enabling proposal is being ratified by the two government outfits to empower the affected people.
In the Northeast region have returned home, and some others are very eager to do so. This is being done amidst obvious severe food insecurity and environmental challenges occasioned by the years of insurgent invasion of the area. Given this circumstance, the people have lost their means of livelihood and productive assets in terms of capital. This having been captured by government's blueprints, the Buhari plan for the rebuilding of the region, which is ongoing with humanitarian assistance. It is in the light of this that the Presidential Committee is striving to empower youth and women through acquisition of skills for self-reliance.
There is therefore an urgent need for a concerted effort of all partners and stakeholders of Nigeria to contribute extensively and meaningfully to this world objective of rebuilding the Northeast.
And as Madam will be willing and ready to key into this initiative to provide what it has, that is in providing the necessary entrepreneurship training that is needed.
To achieve this, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, is expected soon to put up a robust presentation before an enlarged Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative. Joseph Orok, NTA.
Strategies that would block loopholes and wastages in recurrent expenditure in the nation's annual budget are being worked out by the National Assembly. The Chairman Senate Committee on Poverty Alleviation, Ali Wakili, said this at the News Agency of Nigeria Forum in Abuja. Senator Wakili maintained the National Assembly needs to be meticulous in its oversight functions, adding that investigations reveal it appears more corrupt practices are becoming prevalent in recurrent expenditure than capital budget.
Corruption, you see, is a systemic something that has permeated everything. You know, we have lost our values and we have lost our humanity. We have become individualistic. We no more believe in competitive collectivism, but we believe in competitive individualism. Because of the nature of the ad hoc nature of such kind of arrangements, like the SUAP and other things, that is where there is this slice. And the only way to go about it is to ensure that we have a standing body that is authorized by law to oversee such kind of thing. What you need to do is to improve upon what you met. Where you discover that there are certain anomalies, you make corrections.
The Chairman Senate Committee on Poverty Alleviation also called for accountability in the management of the End Power Fund to ensure fairness and justice. Trade dispute settlement machinery needs a total overhaul for the more friendly labor relation in Nigeria. This is the observation of guest on NTA program Good Morning Nigeria while discussing the no work, no pay order by the government. Salihu Abdullahi completes the story.
The issues of unpaid salaries and allowances in many states across the country, as well as unresolved disputes with governments, have often resulted to strike. Government's reaction to these industrial actions range from appeal, negotiation to threat. The popular slogan during strikes is no work, no pay, while the workers, on the other hand, say no pay, no work. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, said no work, no pay is not a military action, but an act in the labor law.
So the law in section 43 says that if you withdraw your services during those periods, you don't expect to be paid your remuneration and allowances. The Nigerian Constitution itself, even in section 17.3, 17.3 D or E, says equal work for equal pay.
Other discussants agreed that amending labor laws remain the best option for labor-government relations and enhance productivity.
And all over the world, the right of workers to embark on industrial disputes, to embark on strikes, is actually one of the major indices of a democratic system of government.
We went round as NLC to study the social system of other countries. We see wage structure of ratio 1:5. If there is this law of reciprocity, then the employer will have to do something that will enable him or her to be able to pay the workers at the end of 30 days.
The guests were unanimous in saying that incessant strike by public workers is not the best option for achieving industrial harmony in Nigeria. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
First Nigeria Food Safety Investment Forum held in Lagos. Let's join Vera in our Lagos Network Center for these and other reports from that axis. Hello, Vera.
Thank you, Tessie. Good to have you join us in Lagos. Good afternoon. Bankers in the country have been advised to provide stakeholders in the agricultural sector with investable funds at reasonable interest rate to boost the nation's non-oil export. Minister of Agriculture Audogbe gave this advice at the first Nigeria Food Safety and Investment Forum held in Lagos. Amechi Piles has the details.
Chief Audogbe's remarks at a large gathering of stakeholders in the agricultural sector centered on the various challenges prevalent in the sector. The minister lamented Nigerians' attitude towards farming, poor handling of food and agricultural produce, as well as absence of modern technology in food processing. He urged stakeholders in the entire value chain to rise to the challenge and ensure Nigeria's acquisition of global certification to boost exports.
The banking sector still considers agriculture a zone of high danger. Interest rates across the globe in agriculture average 3%. Here, it still stands at 25% and above.
While corroborating Chief Audogbe's submission, Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, told stakeholders that government through the Health Ministry will continue to support stakeholders.
Food safety is particularly important in trade, since it serves to instill confidence in consumers and in importing countries with regards to traded products.
Representatives of the Ministers of the Environment, Science and Technology, as well as Industry, Trade and Investment, pledged their support to develop the sector. The theme of the two-day event is examining the interconnection of food, public health, investment and food trade.
If this demand for food safety doesn't come from the enterprises and from the consumers, we will not succeed.
The forum is organized by the European Union, United Nations Industrial Development Organization UNIDO, and the federal government of Nigeria. In Lagos, Amechi Piles, NTA News.
The House Committee on Public Affairs has assured the Assistant Inspector General of Police Zone 2, Kayode Aderonti, that the committee will make necessary recommendations to the House with a view to ensuring adequate funding for the command. Musa Toliat completes the report.
Chairman of the committee, Halim Dauda, made this known after he led members of the committee on a visit to the headquarters of Police Zone 2 Command for an oversight function. The visit, according to the chairman of the Committee on Police Affairs, is also born out of its monitoring of the 2016 budget implementation. AIG Adenoti appeals to the House Committee members to make case for more funds allocation for the police to ensure improved welfare package for officers and the rank and file in the Zone 2 Command. The committee members were taken round the zonal headquarters for an on-the-spot assessment of facilities at the command. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
The need for Nigerian leaders to embrace an all-inclusive system of governance was re-emphasized at the annual Leadership Symposium in Lagos. Speakers at the symposium maintained that Nigerian leaders must adopt people-oriented policies and strategies to achieve sustainable development. Tekla Wiki reports.
Speakers at the symposium identified prudence, transparency and accountability as major tenets of good leadership.
Our hope is that as we bring these younger people to begin to learn what is important, they will get away from this phenomenon in our collapse of culture, in which life is about finding money that you do not need, to buy things you do not want, to please neighbors you do not like.
What actually inspired me here is the attendance of the youth. You know, because when you talk about leadership, it's not us or one thing. It's about people behind.
They enjoin Nigerian leaders to adopt policies that will drive comparative development in all tiers of government. Using Lagos State as a model, speakers noted that other states in Nigeria can achieve impactful and sustainable development with an all-inclusive system of governance in motion.
It is very important to start including the future generation right from now.
Professor Paul Collier, while speaking on the theme for this year's symposium, Living Well Together Tomorrow, emphasized the need for every state in Nigeria to factorize infrastructure, connectivity, safety and quality education as modules to stimulate productivity and ensure institutional growth in society.
Let's get a system, a city that works for all, not for the few.
The 14th in a series, the annual lecture by the Center for Values and Leadership is charged with the responsibility to install quality leadership in Nigeria. In Lagos, Thekla Wilkie, NTA News.
African leaders have been urged to embrace programs that will promote peace, development and economic stability of the continent. The Speaker of the African Students' Union Parliament, Kewu Ebel, stated this during the union's castle visit to the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, Lagos. Rotimi Oluwagbemi reports.
The Speaker, African Students' Union Parliament, Kewu Ebel, who spoke through an interpreter, said the visit became necessary in view of the enormous contributions of the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research to the development of health sector in Nigeria and Africa in general. He attributed the high rate of social vices faced by African continent to a prolonged neglect of the youth.
I would like to say at this point that the dream of building a better, secured society is sacrosanct and tedious, and it can only be perfectly achieved through a collective and collaborative effort of well-meaning inhabitants of such society.
Pan-Africanism is the development of Africa by African and for Africa. And in doing this, we seek to find ourselves role models and mentors and see how we can be able to make impact in our society.
The Director General of Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, Professor Babatunde Salako, who was presented with an African Servant Leadership Award alongside the entire management staff of the institute, commended the union for the gesture. He promised to support the union in its programs towards promoting international harmony.
We have the opportunity today of determining what our future should be like, and one of the steps to take is to ensure that global abuse is allowed to flourish in our university and our entire continent.
Established in 1925, the African Students' Union Parliament is the umbrella body that covers all students within 54 member states in Africa. In Lagos, Rotimi Oluwagbemi, NTA News.
And if you're just joining us, you're still watching nationwide news on the NTA network service. It's now back to Tesi in Abuja for more reports. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Vera. The NTA Television College is to come up with courses designed to train children of the internally displaced persons in the production of programs with local content relevant to their needs. Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, stated this during discussions with Governor Kashim Shettima. Mohammed Goni reports.
Malam Yakubu Ibn Mohammed said, Borno occupies a special place as it comes out of its most challenging period as a state, adding that Maiduguri Zonal Network Center will be used to highlight the progress and achievements being made.
When the zonal arrangement was conceptualized, NTA Maiduguri was fulfilling those earning the best zonal center in the country. And we intend that NTA Maiduguri should reposition itself back to its position of eminence.
He noted that the state government has shifted focus to rebuilding ravaged communities to resettle IDPs, hence the need to inform Nigerians in that direction. The Director General also stated that the NTA is renovating 10 zonal network centers, including Maiduguri, and that the network center in the state has been captured in the 2017 budget and appealed to Governor Kashim Shettima to look into the immediate challenges confronting Maiduguri Zonal Network Center, including the procurement of DSNG and other support to NTA bill. Governor Kashim Shettima said the visit of the Director General was important and timely, as the state is into reconstruction and resettlement process, and noted the critical role NTA plays in that direction. He said the Borno State government has approved 17.5 million naira for the procurement of UPS for the Maiduguri Zonal Network Center, and that the premises will be fenced.
This is the right time to give the requisite, the required publicity to our modest efforts in resettling our people and for them regaining back their dignity. No matter what, living in the IDP camp is not the best of options for the majority of our people.
The governor assured to partner with the NTA in the rebuilding process and further stressed its determination to sustain the relative peace in the state at all costs. The zonal director of the Maiduguri Zonal Network Center was part of the Director General's entourage. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Koni, NTA News.
Police Joint Investigation Panel into Rivers State rerun election violence says it has recovered 111 million naira, indicted electoral officers, security agents and politicians. Chairman of the panel, Deputy Commissioner of Police Damian Okoro, stated this while presenting their findings to the Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris at the force headquarters. Edino Justice completes this report.
The 15-man investigation committee, comprising 12 policemen and 3 officers from the Department of State Service, DSS, was constituted on the 14th of December 2016 by the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, to thoroughly investigate the violence that nearly marred December 10th River State parliamentary rerun elections, where 2 police officers were killed. The chairman of the investigation committee, DCP Okoro, noted that the panel discovered that failure of leadership and followership rather than law enforcement agents were largely responsible, as politicians made insightful statements and enthused officials.
The sum total of 111,300,000 was recovered by the panel from electoral officers, 23 of them, out of which of 360 million was given by River State government to them. 15 million was given to each of the electoral officers and 5 million added to them by the government of Rivers to the EOs who were in charge.
When asked the effect of the Rivers State government non-cooperation with the panelists on grounds of lack of confidence, IGP Ibrahim Idris said the findings and recommendations will be submitted to the Attorney General of the Federation.
If you concur with our proposal, all of them will be charged to court. That's what I'm assuring you. We call on every Nigerian to have faith in the activities of this panel and to take this as a sort of, is part of the process in refining and defining our electoral process.
The 6 police officers that were indicted had been dismissed from the force and paraded early in January. From the force headquarters, Edino Justice, NTA News.
Peace-building efforts initiated by stakeholders are yielding positive results after days of violent clashes in Love local government area. Ado Adamu also reports that several peace meetings convened in the areas have had to the warring communities laying down their arms.
The Mumwe farmers and Fulani herdsmen have lived together for 100 years as good neighbors with mutually benefiting relationships in Taraba State. Unfortunately, the two took arms against each other in Lau local government area recently, leading to the destruction of many communities and loss of lives. Worried by the incident, stakeholders have scaled up efforts toward rebuilding confidence and restoring normalcy. The Taraba State government is leading the effort of reconciling the warring groups while also trying to provide relief materials to the displaced persons.
These are people that have been living together. It is quite unfortunate. One would begin to wonder what could have happened, because you heard what somebody said, that they've been living peacefully. So what could have happened? It's quite unfortunate that it has happened.
The Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative is currently in the state to assess the level of destruction with the aim of assisting victims. Former Governor Jolie Nyami is also leaving no stone unturned as he has initiated peace-building mechanism among the two neighbors. The former governor, who also presented relief materials to IDPs, described the crisis as unfortunate given the long-standing relationship between the Fulanis and the Mumwes. In different fora, the former governor engaged opinion leaders from the two factions where he expressed disappointment over the incident.
And I've reiterated the fact that the Mume, as a people, have always lived in harmony with the Fulani man. But what happened in the recent past, this past 1 week, is really unfortunate. We've realized there must be a foreign influence to it.
Meanwhile, peace is generally returning to the affected areas, while internally displaced persons are still in their need of assistance. Adwa Demwalso, NTA News.
Moving ahead, to address the continued menace of cattle rustling and grazing, Federal Capital Territory Minister Mohammed Musa Bello has inaugurated a 22-member committee to proffer ways of curtailing the ugly trend. Mitere Ikben has details.
Keeping away cattle rearers from Abuja city center has been a hard nut to crack for the FCT administration. The FCT minister said the ministerial committee, as part of its terms of reference, should fine-tune all previous proposals for the development of the 4 earmarked grazing reserves in the territory.
To also discuss with the various departments to see what are the plans already on ground within the FCT administration to cater for herdsmen, to cater for grazing reserves, and of course to cater for farming communities.
Chairman of the committee, Uthman Mohammed, promised to carry all parties along in their assignment.
We are going to submit a report that is going to be implementable, inshallah.
Members of the committee include the FCT Police Commissioner and other heads of security agencies in the FCT, chairmen of Abuja Municipal, Kuje, Buari and Gwagwalada area councils, traditional rulers and leaders of the Cattle Breeders Association in the FCT. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture has confirmed the outbreak of armyworm ravaging maize farms in 22 states. In this report, Musa Baba Aliu takes a look at efforts being taken to address the menace.
They are named armyworms because of their habit of crawling in large numbers from farm to farm, feeding and destroying crops, especially grains, including maize, rice and wheat. The presence of the worm in Nigeria was first noticed last year in Oyo State, southwest Nigeria, where they destroyed maize farms. Few months later, it spread to other parts of the country.
It migrated from Republic of Benin into the southwest Nigeria. And from there, it began to move to other parts of the country. By the end of, towards the end of 2016, it has gone around the entire 36 states. All the regional offices reported the presence of armyworm.
This group of farmers in Wuse, Abuja, described armyworm as an enemy as they attack plants at the early stage and they have to plant twice. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture said effort is underway towards eradicating the worm through the use of chemicals and sensitization of farmers.
Because there was need to control it in order not to affect our maize yield in the country, it was provided in the national budget. In the 2017, it's in the national budget of this year.
Because it also involves border collaboration. As far as possible, our officers that are at the borders, in issues where we feel we are at greater threat, we even go to intervene.
Nigeria has successfully managed tuta that recently ravaged tomato farms. There is therefore hope that the same feat will be achieved in the case of armyworms. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Public and private institutions, communities and individuals must support government efforts towards reducing the cases of cancers in Nigeria. This was part of the submission of a non-governmental organization, Women African Foundation, during screening of 150 women on breast cancer diseases in a suburb of Abuja. Murjanatu Adam Sahid has this report.
Experts describe breast cancer as a tumor found in the lining of the male gland or duct of the breast. Research shows that in Nigeria, 22% of cancer deaths are due to obesity, poor diet, lack of physical activity, and alcoholic consumption. Other factors include exposure to radiation and environmental pollution. It is no longer news that the Nigerian government associations are leading not for profit making, but for action against all types of cancers.
A layman may not actually know what cancer is. You only hear the name cancer. But we're saying, what is cancer? We say that it's a collection of several diseases, that forms cancer. And there are different cancers. But today we are talking about breast cancer in this particular part of FCT.
Although World Cancer Day has proved to be a powerful platform around the world to challenge the negative beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors that are being perpetuated against the disease. This group is making a frantic effort to improve knowledge on cancer with special attention on breast cancer.
There's a high burden of breast cancer in Nigeria, and that is why we are engaged in this work to sensitize people so that at least we know, since cancers don't have a cure as it were, but if they are picked early, we have a chance of a cure.
Experts advised the best time to check for breast cancers is few days after the monthly period ends. However, prevention through routine exercise, healthy diet, self-examination, mammogram, and clinical examination can reduce the chances of breast cancer by 40%. In Abuja, Murjana 2, Adam Said, NTA News.
The newly reconstituted board of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has taken oath of office, promising to be firm and fair in the discharge of its duties.
Corruption in any of its interests.
We do apologize for loss of visuals in that report. You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. You're watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Let's pause for some messages. Nationwide continues shortly.
This is a happy moment for me and for all Nigerians.
Amina Ali Nkeke, the first Chibok school girl to be rescued in the renewed onslaught against the Boko Haram insurgency.
Amina's rescue gives us new hope.
Federal government has formally received the 21 abducted Chibok girls.
These dear daughters of ours have seen the worst that the world has to offer. It is now time for them to experience the best that the world can do for them. Government will sustain the effort until all the remaining girls return safely.
Taxation for national development is the focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. Tuesday Live, informative, educative, and interactive. Don't be told. Join us.
Chairman of all chairmen. Oh, let me wash your hand for you. Let me take toothpick and... Hey. According to Professor, tranquilizer.
I am disappointed, aghast, crestfallen, and vanquished at your shameful display.
This week on your award-winning comedy series, Professor John Bull, starring Kanayo Okanayo, Mercy Johnson, Queen Wokoye, Yomi Fash Lanso, Oguz Baba.
I'd like to see Mr. Udo Etu.
I hear you now, but find me something.
Are you mad?
Go.
Goodness, August, you show your shit.
Oh.
Very nice man, generous.
Okay, anything for the guests. Maybe feature or something.
Happy weekend, sir. Thank you.
Today is Wednesday.
Professor John Bull, this Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 to 9 p.m. on NTA Network, International, and Star Times.
I'm finished. Who finished you? Over and out.
Welcome to the new speed of life. The federal government's social investment program has begun. The poorest and most vulnerable in the land get 5,000 naira monthly, and phase 1 has started in 9 states of the federation. 200,000 unemployed graduates have been engaged in the N-Power Volunteer Corps, designed to engage 500,000 people. 5.5 million children will be fed regularly in the homegrown school feeding program, which kicked off in 3 states last year, with 9 more to be added this year. And under the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, GEEP, thousands of cooperatives, market women, farmers, and enterprising youth have been receiving between 10,000 and 100,000 naira soft loans since November 2016. The Social Investment Program has begun. It can only get better. We promise change. Change is here.
Welcome back. Kano Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje says by the end of 2017, all unqualified basic education teachers will become professional teachers through the government's teacher upgrade program and in-service training opportunities. The governor stated this at the graduation of 2,000 NCE in-service teachers, postgraduate diploma in teaching and bachelor in education. He said his administration has understood that an educated population is an asset. Ganduje said education cannot be imparted well if there is absence of Train the Trainers program. Maintains that despite the economic challenges facing the nation, construction of more schools by the state government is ongoing.
Government to overcome the problem of professionally unqualified teachers led to the collaboration with teacher training institutions in the state to embark on professional upgrade of over 25,000 different categories of unqualified teachers using the provision of the National Commission for Colleges of Education and the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria at the postgraduate level as guides. This effort is wiping out unqualified teachers in the state.
Emir of Kano, Malam Muhammad Sanusi, urged northern state government to build a mega Train the Trainer school for teachers and remain philanthropists of their responsibility, which include investing in education to assist the poor. About 60 secondary teachers in the Federal Capital Territory are currently in Abuja undergoing a one-week intensive training on service learning, an educational approach aimed at including community service skills in students. Mitere Ikwen reports that the training is at the instance of the FCT Secondary Education Board in collaboration with the United States Embassy in Nigeria.
According to the American instructors at the opening of this training workshop, the concept of service learning transcends the boundaries of theoretical learning within the walls of the classroom to a practical application of knowledge in the society, which the FCT administration says will be entrenched in the territory's educational curriculum.
This training is going to expose our teachers to modern and innovative teaching approaches and global best practices in education.
We intend to set up clubs. We will call it service learning clubs. And, at this club level, the students will now be involved.
The U.S. Embassy urged government at all levels to key into its educational exchange programs.
Service learning is all about taking young people, taking youth, and showing them how they can be change makers in their own community. Something like our Youth Exchange and Study program. These programs show that the United States is committed with exchange and interchange with Nigeria, and our country is growing stronger together.
The teachers say the training has generated innovative ideas in them.
I asked myself, how about teaching students who are at higher level, maybe in SS2, how to come down and teach those in lower classes.
At the end of my topic, I can tell my students, first thing tomorrow morning, we are going to go around the school, pick dirt, scavenge, and then recycle what we can.
It remains to be seen how the concept of service learning will be practicalized by teachers and students in the society. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
The Federal Road Safety Corps in Ekiti State has impounded over 15 vehicles while enforcing the use of the speed limit device. The sector commander Ismail Akudu said safety on the road cannot be sacrificed on the altar of ignorance. Michael Olayele has the details.
The rate of road traffic crashes recorded yearly continues to be on the increase. Stakeholders believe the introduction of the speed limits device will help to establish sanity on roads. These, however, informed the implementation exercise. Officers of the Federal Road Safety Corps were at major entry and exit roads in the state capital to ensure that motorists comply with the use of the device.
And as much as I wouldn't want them to cancel it in its entirety, I will seek that they should give it an extension to cover 40-something thousand naira just for speed limiter is over there.
The sector commander, Ismail Akugu, believes motorists will soon understand that speed limiter is for their interests.
The lives of Nigerians are being lost, and it's because of the behavior of most of our drivers that fly Nigerian roads.
The command said the routine exercise will be intensified until the mandate of total compliance is achieved in Adrikiti. Michael Ale, NTA News.
And in Benin, Edo State capital, the FRSC says there is no going back on the installation of the speed limit device. Frank Okonufwa completes the story.
Device is an electromechanic device that restrains the vehicle from moving more than the stipulated speed limit. The sector commander Edo State Federal Road Safety Commission, Mr. Samuel Dukoya, urged commercial vehicle owners to install the device as the call will clamp down on commercial transport operators who flout the directive.
Install speed limit device in your vehicle. We are no more going by. Our aim is to arrest you, to enforce it, and you must comply.
Some commercial vehicle managers said they have started installing the device on their vehicle, but appeal to the Federal Road Safety Commission to give them time.
Monday we install about 6 vehicles. Tuesday, Wednesday we still install more. Today now we are still on it. We never lose hope.
All our buses here is coded to 100.
We are appealing for the federal government to work on the roads because the roads are not too good. The speed limit they put is okay, but the roads are not good. That's why.
The enforcement of the speed limit device started on the 1st of February 2017. In Benin, Frank Okonofwa, NTA News.
Osun State government has commenced enforcement in the use of standardized weighing scales for traders to ensure fairness between buyers and sellers. Adeni Itaiwo tells us more.
Since June 13, 2016, when it was officially launched with pomp and fanfare by the state governor, Rauf Aregbesola, the Osun standardized weighing scale, popularly called Osun Omoluabi, was expected to replace the use of improvised measuring objects like bowl and tins as the standard measure of commodities. Such commodities include fish, meat, pepper, garri, rice, yam, and vegetables. Observation, however, shows that the weighing scale is yet to enjoy desired level of acceptance among traders and even buyers, some of who say they are yet to understand how to operate them.
I don't know the difference between the one they are using before and the one they are using now, except they use that their thing, that pick mix thing that can count up to 10. Okay. But this one I don't know.
Leading a monitoring team to major markets in the state capital, coordinating director for Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Abimbola Osho, expressed displeasure at the poor level of compliance by some traders.
The Ministry of Industries, Commerce, Cooperation and Empowerment had actually conducted training, showing them how to actually use the Osun Omoluabi, depending on what type of goods you have. So I want to say we have left the advocacy stage, the appealing stage. We are at the stage of actually enforcing.
While encouraging the traders to acquire and use the weighing scales to avoid a brush with the law, Abimbola says the state government is willing to go to any required length to protect consumers in the state. Following the visit by the monitoring team, some traders were cited trying to purchase the weighing scales. In Oshibo, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Al-Shabaab militants ambush African Union convoy in Somalia. And United States government urges court to revive President Donald Trump's travel ban. This and more on Global Tidbits with Chimdima Ndubisi.
The Al-Shabaab militants' attack on African Union convoy comes just as a partial curfew was imposed in the country a day before the presidential election. Major roads have been sealed off and a traffic ban is also in place. In Côte d'Ivoire, special forces are reported to have opened fire at a military barracks. The uprising in a border town with Ghana is believed to be over pay bonuses. And at a summit in Bamako, 5 countries in the Sahel region agreed to set up a joint counter-terrorism force. In another development, Amnesty International has released a report showing that groups of about 50 people, numbering 13,000 and mostly civilian opposition supporters, were executed secretly at a prison in Syria. The human rights group alleged that the killings were authorized by the highest levels in the Syrian government. That's Global Tidbits. Chimdima Ndubisi, NTA News.
Up next is sports updates with Ayodeji Makinde as our guide.